Something I've heard a lot over the last decade, and it be people say, I've got a lot of respect for Sam Harris. They say it. They'll say, oh yeah, very smart guy. Oh yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely. And it's like as if they have to. And I always found him to be too smug for me to deal with. Smug. And it's like, well, what's this guy famous for? And they're like, oh, he's some kind of brain surgeon, a scientist. It's like, okay, that's not really a reflection on anything. That's nuts and bolts. So what is he, an atheist? I said, well, he's like an anti-priest then? This guy, he's smug. He talks as though he knows. He talks as though he knows absolutely. He talks like a true believer. Speaks in that way as to where he's certain he knows what he knows. And I don't like it. I found him extremely smug. And fundamentally, he mocks people, but he uses big words. And as an atheist, someone who attacks low-hanging fruit, so he will actually find himself a zealot, a religiously conditioned social justice NPC type, because that's the church they attack, or the religion they attack is the hypocrisy of those of us who were raised around very, very let's say inconsistent people, whether it be family, mostly school in mine, as to where they used religion as a weapon for guilt and shame to try to make kids better behave. So it's like, that's what they're against. We understand that's what they're against, but it's a matter of you're not smart enough to understand that words are weapons sharper than knives. And people reach for weapons. Like magic weapons, verbal weapons, imaginative weapons. As you reach for imaginary verbal weapons. So it's like, in my mind, Sam Harris is dumb, a grifter. Why? Because he doesn't he won't just get it as to where, things get ruined when they get weaponized. Words, ideas, notions, principles. When they get weaponized, that's when they get perverted. When people reach for them to strike out against those they hate. Sam Harris does that. He mocks people. He preaches to a choir in a little church, which is the Church of Sam Harris and his cult of personality. So it's like, so John, what do you reckon? Oh, I'm like, straight down the line, cerebral narcissist, Sam Harris. What? Yes. The fact that people will always be saying, oh yes, Sam Harris, he's very smart. Yeah, I respect him a great deal. That's all he exists for. He likes to hear his name get dropped. He likes to hear his name get mentioned. He likes his name to be mentioned in this pantheon of the great thinkers. And when they sat him down and spoke to him yesterday, turned out to be a black and white thinking, emotionally retarded, lying, projecting dumbass who equates Donald Trump winning an election with an asteroid about to strike and destroy the planet Earth. If there was an asteroid coming, and we'd all get in a room and we'd agree that we need to stop it, well, that's Trump, that. Yeah, I agree with conspiracies to bring him down, because he is the worst human being imaginable. And he never made a case as to why. He just took it as a given and pushed it. And he made for a very, very uncomfortable conversation partner. You can have a conversation with people that you don't get along with, you don't agree. You find common ground and you make a conversation of it. Faced with anything but a completely open door. Or saying leaning on an open door. Unless it's an open door, if it's in any way a bit where he's going to be challenged, he runs his mouth like a fucking moron. and is like bullying and threatening, and the conversation doesn't flow. He's not a good conversationalist when he's not allowed to control it. I think of all the time that Jordan Peterson wasted trying to reason with this guy, and it's like he was just childish. He was just childish. He just fell into an alloplastic defence. It's like his defence was something akin to, how do we know that my version of green is your version of green? You call it this, I call it that. And then he has these conversations with Peterson, and his fans are like, oh, he's so clever. He knocked him all over the place. And it's like, yeah, do you know who else does that? Hassan Piker. That's kind of his technique for talking to people. And it's like, well, he's the same kind of guy. He's just not smart. He's a cerebral narcissist who isn't as smart, but he thinks he's brilliant. And he wants people to tell him he's brilliant all the time to remind him that he's a real person. Now, Sam Harris strikes me as a person who revels in being right when he isn't. And if you can't see that, it's like these isms, there's no such thing as any of them. These isms. There's no such thing. All there is weapons lying around that if you want to lay into someone, you can pick up and beat them with it. A word is much like a stick. A stick to beat people with. If you don't understand, you don't understand the fundamental basic level, that's what these fucking labels are. And as well as that, to go around labelling things, they don't get this either, none of them. To go around labelling things and calling it new things, that's actually to play God. That's what God did in the book of Genesis. That's his power. He kind of went around naming things. Now, to rename things, for something to be new, like a person or a Dougie or a car, or a new design of anything, it's right to give it a name. But when you take something else and rename it, something iffy about that. There's something seriously iffy about going around labelling. I'd call that. Oh, I'd call that toxic masculinity. Oh, I'd call that. Oh, well, it's this, isn't it? To rename something when there's already words for all these things. That's like the devil's do, isn't it? You murdered a man and say you rubbed him out, liquidated him. We've been doing it for a good while playing this word game, and if you don't see past the word game, if you don't see those words just being weapons, there to... Basically, if you want your words to sting, you pick up a weapon. What are the easiest weapons to reach for? The most commonly used, even if they're blunt instruments and come across as being crass, all the better. Even if you know better yourself, you might just want to hurt someone's feelings real bad, and it might be that the poetry of it might just mean that, hey, throw the N-word in, and the bitch will get the message, and with any luck I might be able to provoke him. And if he comes at me, I'll be able to kick his ass and say it's self-defense. Like the provocation of the word. It's like these fucking twats, the whole lot of them, they don't even get that. And to me, that's always been absolutely obvious. I'm going to think of something mean to say. You get this notion of racism as if you've got something broken in your heart that makes you, in essence, someone who hates everything and everybody. So it's very difficult to function in the world if that's what it is. We have to believe that there's this mystery-ism for which there is no cure called racism or sexism. So what are these people like? Oh, very bad people. Can you be more specific? Well, no, they keep it secret. They're secret racists. Okay. No. It's all a word game. They're playing a word game. Endlessly hunting down these mysterious, hidden racists. It's like, what are you going to do when you catch them? Well, oh no, we're never going to catch them. That's not the idea. This is an endless war against the devil, in essence. Racist, the devil. We're hunting the devil. It's like Twin Peaks, where we're trying to catch a spirit. There is no victory in this war. We will just continue and continue and continue and continue until we get what we want, till we get to our ends. But it's a matter of, we're always going to have to find new victims for this. We're always going to have to find new imaginary enemies to keep the revolution going. It's like, if you don't get that Sam Harris is not smart enough to realise it's one just great big fucking power word game, because he's got power. It's great that it's a great big power word game to him, because, you know, anything that might be on Hunter Biden's laptop is infinitesimal compared to Trump University. Infinitesimal. What would I have said? Fuck all compared to.